KFSR at CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger, a public affairs program featuring stories from all over the Central Valley with Sevag Tateosian, 90.7 KFSR.
Welcome to another edition of the Central Valley Ledger. We're recording out of the beautiful CMAC Studios in downtown Fresno. Our guest this week is Mr. Greg Newman.
Right.
He is with the Clovis Chamber of Commerce. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
So before we get into the Clovis Chamber of Commerce, I'm learning so much about you. You've had such a great experience. Tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, I was born and raised in Fresno and went to a local high school. And I started in the shopping center business. So I started my career at Figard Village. And the reason I started there, I started as a maintenance man many years ago when I was a teenager. My mom, Annette Newman, was the general manager at the time. And after I graduated from Fresno State, I moved up into the management office and just slowly learned the shopping center management business. So I had some wonderful, wonderful years at Figard Village, and then about 2000 had an opportunity to move over to Sierra Vista Mall in Clovis to run that property, and I was there for almost 19 years.
You know what's interesting is you started in maintenance and you kind of work your way up.
Yeah.
How critical is that maintenance experience as you start doing bigger things?
You know, for me, it was key. You know, so when you start at we'll call it the bottom, but clearly maintenance isn't, the bottom.
Yeah.
But when you start by just doing kind of the day-to-day operational duties for a property, and then you slowly start doing some of the, events. You'll do some of the leasing. You slowly start taking interest in duties over, on a property. And once you've touched every aspect of a property, I think it makes a better general manager for a property, because then when you have a staff later on, you can really understand what they're going through, issues that come up, because I've been there.
Yeah.
So that longevity and experience has certainly helped.
Fig Garden Village, very unique, very popular place. Sierra Vista Mall, there's a lot of cool things happening. The outdoor area, and it's just it's turning into a very fun place. Wouldn't you agree?
I agree. Yeah, I was just lucky enough to have that opportunity to go to Sierra Vista Mall. I was living in Clovis at the time. My children were going to school in Clovis, and it was nice to work closer to all the activities and sports and things that they were involved in. And then you just get involved into the fabric of the community, and you join boards, you volunteer, you do all these things in the community as a business leader in the community, and you very quickly become part of Clovis. So I was lucky to have that opportunity.
So how did you get involved in the Clovis Chamber of Commerce? I mean, I know you probably were affiliated with the organization, but how did you get involved as executive director?
Well, I through my Sierra Vista Mall, we were chamber members ever since I've been there, and then I was lucky enough to be on the chamber board of directors for 6 years. And then, once of course, I knew many people that were still on the board, chamber members, et cetera, and heard that they were looking for an executive director. An opportunity came up that they were looking for somebody for that position. And I just thought, what, that would be an ideal opportunity for me. So if I was going to be looking for a career change, which I knew I was in the next year or so, I thought no better place than to be the executive director of the Clovis Chamber.
Your experience at Sierra Vista Mall, how has it helped you in your role at the Clovis Chamber of Commerce? I can think of already probably a million ways of how being a member benefited you, but I'll let you answer the question.
Well, I think my experience just in the we'll call it the shopping center management, retail industry for so long, when you run a property as big as Sierra Vista Mall, it's like overseeing a small city, we'll call it. You have security and housekeeping and maintenance, and you put on a lot of events. You work with a lot of nonprofits, and so you kind of touch all these different aspects of running a business. The chamber, even though it's a little bit different, we're membership, funded and event funded enterprise, but still it needs to be ran like a business. So I think just bringing some of those business traits that I'm used to, implementing some of those, and then working with our members, working on our events, making sure that the best that we can produce. I just think all that experience as a whole help with this position.
And it sounds like a great fit because you can see the organization from a member's eyes, and then you see the organization as now executive director. So
Right.
that mix makes sense there.
It does, and it's and from the board viewpoint also when I was on the board. So I'm just one of those lucky ones that have had that opportunity to view it from all sorts of different angles.
So a Chamber of Commerce, why do you exist? What is it that you do?
Well, I think a chamber is important. So chamber is a business membership and a business kind of organization. So I think if anybody starting a business, they're going to have their fictitious business name, they're going to open up a checking account, they're going to figure out what they're selling and how much to sell for, but I think the first thing they should do is join their local Chamber of Commerce because instantly you will have a whole membership or that will know who you are. And especially with the Clovis Chamber, we have seven different platforms of marketing that we use from the website, Facebook, Twitter, etc. And when a new member joins, we make sure everybody knows about it. We tell their story, what they're doing, where they're located, and then instantly they have that exposure. And it's exposure to other members. So, our goals at Chamber is not only as a cheerleader for Clovis in general, because we certainly are, and we'd like to bring business to Clovis also with our two large events, but then also helping our members network, get to know each other, and and help each other. And I think that's the goal for us.
If I'm starting a business, I agree with you, by the way. If I'm starting a business, I am going to look for the Chamber of Commerce because you have that built-in knowledge base. I mean, can you imagine, an organization that has been in the community for years and then a new organization? I mean, that built-in coaching. I mean, do you see that happening?
We do. We get calls all the time. So if somebody's looking to start a business, open a business, they may ask where there's an available property. I get asked, especially with my real estate and my background. I can probably offer a little more insight than the average person on what may be a good location or situation for them. And then they reach out. I'm looking for a painter. I'm looking for an electrician. Do you know of somebody that does this or that? And then we're always happy to refer our members to anybody who asks.
Sounds like an instant family is built there with the members.
We feel it is, and because they're all in business, they're all looking to succeed. They all have the same goal.
So you're not affiliated per se with the city. You're not a city entity. You're a member-driven, member-funded organization.
Right.
I'm sure there's that connection with the city, though. What are your thoughts? Is the city of Fresno supportive of businesses?
Clovis, I have to correct you there. Okay.
City of Clovis?
Well, it is. So the Clovis Chamber has been around since 1910. So it's over 100 years that we've been in existence in Clovis. We work very well with the city of Clovis. So there's many aspects of the city that really want Clovis to succeed in all sorts of ways. But mainly what we do is through our membership. But mainly through our two large events, which is Clovis Fest, which is coming up, and then Big Hat Days. We produce those as the Clovis Chamber, but we have to work with the city, or we get the opportunity to work with the city because it's a collaborative effort to put on a fantastic event in the streets of Old Town Clovis. So we work very well with police, fire, the economic development arm, the business manager. City manager's office, all the different departments of Clovis, and we all get together. We have a common goal to put on a fantastic event in Clovis. So we work well with them.
So the city of Clovis, I've heard, and there's this kind of notion out there that it's business friendly, and I've got family members who can vouch that the city of Clovis is business friendly. Yeah. Do you see that? I mean, are you seeing that in your role working with businesses that, the Clovis, the city is really trying to get businesses?
Yeah, and especially as my role at Sierra Vista Mall for so long, I worked very closely with the city of Clovis and the economic development, department, and the business management department. If ever I had an issue, if there was ever something that I needed to call the city, I knew who to call. They're very responsive and very very willing to help solve whatever issue arose. I don't know how many times that I was given referrals from somebody at the city. Hey, we got a call. This person is looking for this many square feet,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. We gave them your name and number. Over the years, I can't count. It's just been so many, and we appreciate that because at the end of the day, their goal, their desire is to have every vacant space in Clovis filled up with great operators.
Clovis is growing.
Yes.
It feels like every time we go to look at model homes, we're driving down Shaw or Ashland or Clinton, the community is really growing. And although you're not affiliated with the growth and development, I'm sure that it touches you too in your role at the Clovis Chamber.
Well, we're excited about the growth, and I think it's smart growth. And I can't speak for the Clovis City Council, the Building Department, Planning Department, or the Planning Commission, but I'm biased clearly. I think they've methodically thought out which direction, which way, how the city should grow, and I think it's being accomplished without losing that small town feel. And it helps having fantastic, the Clovis Rodeo, which is kind of a small town. It's a big event, small town event, but it's huge for Clovis. But when you get there for the start of April with big hat days on the streets with our event, then the rodeo at the end of the month, I mean, you do feel it's
very
still
festive.
kind of very festive, and you kind of have that small town feel to it, even though our city's rapidly approaching, I guess 120,000 or 125,000 people. So, so far, I'm really happy with the growth, what's going on, and I think the city planners certainly knew what they were doing.
So there's a day coming up where when we look in the sky, we see balloons.
Yes.
Hot air
Yes.
balloons of different colors all over the sky.
Yes.
It's an exciting time, and people see those balloons from far away. What's going on that day?
Right. So coming up on October 26th and 27th is our 45th annual Clovis Fest event in the streets of Old Town. So it's a fantastic family-friendly event. It's free to the public, but it starts off with the hot air balloons. Those take off from the Clovis Rodeo Grounds about 6 o'clock on Saturday morning. Then we'll do it again on Sunday morning. And like you said, the balloons fill the sky. It's just it's a great visual. Then they float over Clovis and they land in some a field or whatever depending on where the wind takes them. And then right after the balloons take off at 8 o'clock in the morning, we start Clovis Fest in Old Town. So we go down Pulaski from 3rd Street all the way down to 8th Street. We have over 250 food and vendors, arts and crafts vendors, some great arts and crafts. We'll have, for this year again, we'll have our International Village stage, where we have over 20 groups that are going to be performing on a stage, and they'll be doing their cultural dances, singing, they'll have their instruments, they'll be all in their cultural costumes, and that's really exciting. So Saturday and Sunday, all day long, we'll be having cultural performances. And then as we want the attendees to stroll down Old Town, the streets of Old Town, we'll have a live entertainment stage, plenty of food, plenty of crafts, and it's a lot of fun.
So it's an all-day thing.
Yes.
A family affair.
Yep, absolutely.
And if someone hasn't gone before, what can they expect? Just entertainment all day, stuff going on?
It's one of those just great kind of small town, we'll call it festivals, but we have carnival rides, we have a kids zone with petting zoo and pony rides and things like that. But it's just a great street fair. You could have something to eat. You get to see some cultural performances. For those 21 and older, can go into the beer garden and enjoy the live music. And it's just a kind of a fun event. And it's our 45th annual. So for a lot of people in Clovis, this is all they've known is Clovis Fest in October, and then our Big Hat Days event in April.
So your organization is actually the one coordinating all this, correct?
Yes. Yes.
Logistically, talk about how much details need to matter here.
Well, we have a great staff, number one. So, from our events coordinator to our membership director to our administrative manager in the office, we're a very small but mighty staff, and we all, get together. It's all hands on deck to put on these two large festivals. So, it is, logistically, we'll start working on Big Hat Days right after Clovis Fest is finished.
So pretty soon here.
Pretty soon. So it takes a good 3-4 months to get everything coordinated. But it's it's exciting. It's fun for us, and we get to see old friends, old vendors that will come year after year. With our arts and crafts, food vendors that come year after year. We work with, like I said, with the police and the fire department and make sure everything's perfect for our visitors. And it's a great time, and we just get so many great positive responses from our attendees, and then also our vendors.
So if there's any profits or anything from this, it goes back to your organization then?
Yeah, it goes back to the organization. So the net profit from our events helps fund the Clovis Chamber and keeps us operational.
A city without a chamber. Let's say one day we wake up and there's no Chamber of Commerce. Will that city have challenges?
I think so. I think having a chamber is important. And in some cities, a chamber will take a different role depending on which city they're in. Some chambers in some cities act as the Convention and Visitors Bureau or the Tourism Center. Or they're part of the city in some way where they're helping to attract businesses to town. So, depending on the chamber, depending on where they are, they have a different role. I think it's key because, every city you would hope that has some sort of business community to it. And, having an organization that its sole goal is to help the businesses succeed, I think is important. Job creation, sales tax generation for the city is important. And then, we feel that a healthy business community is a healthy city.
So in January, off air, we were talking a little bit, and you also have some sort of award ceremony in January. Tell us about that.
We do. We have our annual Salute to Business Luncheon. It's going to be on January 30th this year. And it gives us the opportunity to honor some of those businesses and people that really make Clovis what it is. So we've been doing this a long time. We're working right now on selecting those individuals that will be recipients this year. But it's a fantastic luncheon. We like to have some entertainment surprises for our attendees, but then it gives us an opportunity to really honor some really key people in our community.
So you've got that in January, and then April, Big Hat Days.
April Big Hat Days, yes.
I keep sensing that Big Hat Days is getting bigger. I mean, do you get
Big Hat Days is a lot bigger. Big Hat Days is actually, it's a lot bigger than Clovis Fest. We probably double the attendees at Big Hat Days. And I think the reason is it's the first big event right after the winter. So it's the first weekend in April every
People
year.
are ready.
They're ready. They're ready to take off the sweatshirts and their coats. It's the start of rodeo month in Clovis, and we have a good time. So it's a little more festive, and we have probably twice the amount of vendors, food vendors. The music's maybe a little bit louder in the beer garden, and it's a good time in Clovis. So we're real happy to be able to kick off rodeo month.
Let's talk about attendance. What I'm noticing, and maybe I'm wrong in this, but when I go to events in Clovis and other communities as well in Fresno County, attendance keeps increasing at these things. And as word gets around, there's more people that show up. When I say that, I think of that little street in Clovis where the neighborhood has Christmas lights on, where you go walk around and you see the different Christmas lights. But I'm also noticing that with other events. Are you noticing that? Are there more people kind of coming to this area?
Well, as Clovis continues to grow, and as they're building more rooftops and there's more families, so I think that the demographic of Clovis it's a family oriented city. That's where the growth is, mainly because I feel the school district is so outstanding. There's couples who want to start a family coming to Clovis, and couples that have kids and are trying to relocate or want to relocate to Central Valley. Clovis is probably number one on the list because of the school district. So I think as you just add so many people, they start to hear about these great free events, and our events are free. Same as Farmers Market that they do every Friday night in Old Town also. So it's just another way for new generations to bring their kids. We have people that have been coming. This is the third generation now that's been coming to Big Hat Days or Clovis Fest, and it just becomes part of their lives, so they know when Clovis Fest comes, they're going to go out and see the hot air balloons. They're going to come over and enjoy the festival. Big Hat Day is the same thing. So I just think that as more folks are moving to the area, our attendance continues to grow.
Let's talk about the PAC a little bit. Your organization has a PAC.
Yeah.
Is that the advocacy arm, or how would you explain what the PAC is?
Yeah, so Clovis does have, the Clovis Chamber does have a PAC. It is we have a separate group, a separate committee that runs the PAC, and it's primarily to look at legislation and that's either not business friendly or not business friendly. So we have a group that meets on a monthly basis, and we kind of discuss issues and legislation that's pending, and to see if it's something that the PAC should get involved in as far as supporting or not supporting. So before I got there, it was active, and now we're starting it up again, because I think it's important as a chamber and as a PAC to be the voice of business for the community, and because we have those relationships with our electeds, to be that voice for our membership. So,
and I ask you that question because I do see legislation sometime coming that either will hurt jobs or will increase taxes, and I don't want to get political on the show, but there are things that come across the desk that are, like, as they say, quote unquote, job killer type things. So the PAC ideally would look for those things and then bring it back.
Yes, yeah. So it's a separate entity from the Clovis Chamber, but there's a lot of parts that are crossover. It's a great organization. I think it helps us as a chamber also to just understand the issues that are out there and that are affecting our members, because they come fast and furious, and there's new laws all the time that affect our members, HR laws, tax laws, different things that our members certainly need to be aware of. And there again, it would be the voice of the chamber, of the PAC. If we feel strongly enough about a certain piece, then we will certainly let the public know how we stand.
Where do you see this organization in 10 years? Do you see that, there's going to be the continual growth and new members and, just expansion?
I think so. As we become, we have over 100-year experience in the community. So, and our events are our signature kind of calling cards. But I think as we get more, as our population continues to grow and our businesses, take over some either existing storefronts and existing vacancy, or as they develop new areas, I think we will certainly reach out to those new businesses and have them become members, and so they can see the benefit. And like I said, our job to help create a very strong business community and a very successful one.
So, if I'm a new business and I join the Clovis Chamber of Commerce, am I on like a mailing list as well, or the communication between your organization and businesses? Talk about that.
Well, it comes from us. So we don't sell, if you're a member, we don't sell the mailing list. We don't do any of that. That's proprietary to us. You're a chamber member. We protect our members. We've had some members that have been members 50, 60 years, and part of it, and some businesses just want to be a good community supporter. And the chamber is an ideal way to be that. So either by hanging the plaque on the wall that says you're a chamber member, or that, it's just part of being part of the community. I do think in the future that, it's our goal as a chamber to show the benefits of being a member and how it does help strengthen the community. And then hopefully they see the benefits through their business. So if they're, getting referrals, if their business is doing better, if they see that, we're speaking for them or for their industry and regarding legislation or those other things, that it just becomes a value that they don't want to do business without.
As we're running out of time this week in the program, but I want to ask how community members can help you and your organization's mission. And the reason I ask is, as we're talking, there are people in Fresno to the Madera border, that are listening to this program and watching this program.
Right.
So if they're not from Clovis, how can people help what you're doing?
Well, to help our mission, there's all sorts of ways to help us. One would be to volunteer, and a great way to do that. Like I said, we have our two big events, and we have on our Clovis Chamber website, clovischamber.com. We have a volunteer link and a volunteer portal that anybody who wants to help, run, during one of our events, set up, clean up, anything in our event, they can certainly register to help do that. We have the Chamber helps to sponsor part of the trail, in Clovis, the bike trail, walking trail. We do a cleanup on that every month. So there's a lot of ways to get involved that way. We have a fantastic ambassador program made up of Chamber members where they actually go out. These are business people that want to give a little more and a little more time, and they're very enthusiastic, but they'll go to our ribbon cuttings and our Coffee Connect events and our networking events, and they'll show up, and they're kind of they're ambassadors for the Chamber, but they're ambassadors for Clovis. So they'll talk to the new members, help them become oriented. They volunteer at our events, and they're really what I consider the lifeblood of our organization, because they're out there in the public. They're volunteering their time, and because it's gratifying for them, it helps the business community, and it's a lot of fun. So we try to have a good time when we're doing it, because, like I said, they're volunteers. We want them to enjoy what they're doing and then be fulfilled also.
Sir, we're out of time this week on the program, but good luck to you on your Clovis Fest. We'll be watching those hot air balloons.
Yes.
And then we'll be watching for big hat dates as well.
Good. Fantastic.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's all for this edition of the Central Valley Ledger. Thank you to our audience members listening to this broadcast on 90.7 FM, KFSR Fresno, and to those watching on CMAC, Comcast 93, and AT&T 99. We hope you enjoyed the program this week. Thank you to our technical director, Paul Starcevich, and also to our student assistant producer, Daisy Ramirez. Tune in next week to a new edition.
KFSR and CMAC present the Central Valley Ledger every Sunday morning at 11:30. For a complete program schedule, visit kfsr.org.